Welcome to the only podcast that helps employers and recruiters connect with more candidates through technology-inspired conversations. Mastering recruitment technology is the key to hiring great talent. That's why my show exists. Al Smith is the Chief Technology Officer for New Jersey-based ICIMS. ICIMS is a leading provider of talent acquisition technology that enables organizations everywhere to build winning workforces. Al, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the invite, Chris.
Nice. What do you got? What do you got in the fish tank back there?
It's the community of competing fish. It's something that let me turn around and calm down and watch the fish for a while.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, you have a winter release coming out. We'll talk about that in a second, but I want to ask you about your day job first. So my first question for you is, what's a day in the life like for the CTO of a hiring software company? Walk me through that.
Yeah, I think the thing that I find most engaging about the job is building great teams, building great products. But that means you have to be able to move from kind of strategic thinking on what we're trying to do in the long term to operational, how do we do this well as we roll it out, to tactical thinking of how do we, make short-term decisions or pivot on the behalf of a customer and making sure our customers are getting what they need. So it's definitely not boring. I think I move around between technology conversations as kind of what the CTO title would indicate, a lot of customer focus and are they being successful? And then operationally, how do we do things continuously improving ourselves, raising the bar on ourselves all the time? Because it's tough to deliver enterprise class software.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, I think managing myself and being timely is always there. I think making sure that when we're making decisions, we've got a good outline of what good looks like and what bad would look like. Not just have an idea, but we're trying to get to making sure we can clearly do it. And as a leader, I think when I'm at my best, I'm actually doing that. I'm describing what good would look like for the outcome. I'm also describing what bad would look like, and I'm describing any guardrails the teams have to work around. And then I get out of the way. And my job from that point is to let them bring their smarts and energy and remove any obstacles that pop in. And so those are the best parts of my day, and actually when I'm doing the most good for the organization.
Cool. Very cool. Thanks for that. iCIMS is about 20 years old now. By the way, I'm a former customer. So
Hmm, fantastic. Thank
2015,
you.
I installed iCIMS by myself at my last corporate job. I was on the phone with your help desk pretty much every day during that process, but it went pretty well overall. And you've been there about 10 years. What's the biggest thing you learned about kind of fostering this kind of software, for the hiring market here? Because there's so many moving parts, and the job search is such a complicated thing these days. And just talk about that kind of the journey a bit, if you could.
Yeah, a little bit of it is a personal journey for me. I came into iCIMS without any experience in the hiring industry. And we all have our own personal career hiring experiences that we understand. It took me a little while to understand the differences around the different, I'll say, classes of hire, hiring executives versus hiring technical people versus hiring business people versus hiring, hourly professional, doctors, lawyers, nurses, and hiring hourly lower skilled, warehouse, drivers, farm hands, university hiring, gig hiring. When I think about all those different hiring, I think generically I thought they were the same. And it took me a while to really understand different workflows, different key decision points in how you find people, the process you put them through to make a decision on them, the kind of offering that you have. I'm very appreciative of both the education I've received from our customers, but also how we've built products to handle all those different kinds of hiring. And then when you add the complexity of, I do this hiring in multiple geographies, whether that's, east, west, north, south in North America, or it's, in Europe and in many different countries. We have customers that are using our products in 150 to 200 countries. That's a learning of what's different in those ways. And then at scale,
Mm.
if I look at what iCIMS does best today is we're handling those many different classes of hiring across many geographies and at scale. We scale larger, I think, than anybody. I say that because when people leave other vendors, not uncommon that they say, we outgrew them, we couldn't scale, they couldn't handle our complexity. That is both exciting and a challenge, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts to your point, and they really do vary. They really do.
Yeah, the workflow is so, important to each organization out there when it comes to hiring. Al, what's the biggest impactful feature you've added in the last 10 years that really sort of made a huge difference to the product? Does one come to mind?
Wow, last 10 years, that's a long time.
I know.
I think two things that have been really impactful, and maybe I'll use a visual aid. It's this thing. Um, the impact of mobile on the hiring process in the last 10 years has been stunning. I mean, AI is now entering that phase.
Hmm.
But, when I joined, I think there was a statistic we had that about 15% of candidates would apply for a job on their phone. These days, that's over 80%. The technology has changed, the software has changed on how we've implemented the technology, and the expectations have changed a lot, particularly on the candidate experience, to be a very consumer-like experience. And so while that's not one single product, I'll say building that framework into what we do in the Talent Cloud has been an incredibly important investment. Now, we've then taken that, to some other extremes. If you look at things that take advantage of video, like our social media, capabilities with Video Studio, one thing that's definitely changed, especially coming out of COVID, is people considering a job at your company want to hear from people who have that job. And it's more credible when somebody says, here's what a day in the life is of doing this job.
Mhm.
That wasn't something people thought about, 10 years ago. And when you look at now, it's basically the ability to go multi-channel in those experiences. I think, 10 years ago, it was nice to maybe talk with a chatbot. But now when you look at our digital assistant, there's a demographic and a certain vertical industry desire for I'd rather talk with a chatbot, or a digital assistant than talk with a human. And having that being rich enough and deep enough that it not only gives me the information I need as a candidate, but the ability to schedule me for an interview, if you will. These kinds of automations and these kinds of engagement on where people expect to be, I think have been fundamentally ground shifting for what we do.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go back to the mobile thing for a second because the real challenge there is like how do you get a resume from your phone to the job, right? How do you guys handle that? Can you walk me through that user experience maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward today. To your point, it used to be crazy hard. First of all, a lot of people just live on their phone, in a certain geographies and a certain, I'll say, age, class, and demographic, they live on their phone. They have all their documents there. Today, if you're on a career site that is built by ICIMS, it's very easy to just say, upload your resume and just select the file off of your phone, and bingo, there you go. And it handles all kinds of different formats and all kinds of different inputs. That used to be a big problem, but in the last 5 years, it's totally gone away.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about your releases. I'm going to pull up my screen here and we'll talk about that. So you came out with a winter release. By the way, how many releases do you do each year, roughly?
Yeah, so we do three formal, what we call seasonal releases. The idea behind that is that our customers need time, particularly if they're large entities, to understand what's in the release and how to adopt it. And at the same time, making sure that they're ready to adopt. So we found that three seasonal releases works well, particularly for our larger customers. Now, when we're innovating and putting something new in market, we will actually bring out interim, what we call supplemental releases, because maybe this is a new product set and there's a smaller audience to get ready.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, so let's walk through some of these for the audience here. By the way, audience, you can go to hrtechfeed.com, sign up for the daily alerts there. This is where I curate a lot of the HR tech happenings in the world, so definitely sign up. So first thing is the Copilot. Recruiters and hiring managers can now create a slate of interview questions uniquely tailored to roles in seconds and quickly optimize job descriptions in real time using ICIMS Copilot. Talk about that briefly, Al. Good.
Yeah. And the view you should have here, us, like many other companies, see the potential in generative AI capabilities. We intentionally named it Copilot so that nobody had to guess, what are you doing with this technology? It's a paradigm that's obviously picked up a lot of traction. This is an assistant of how you do things in your product set. And these first releases from us are laying a foundation for a broad expansion of where this technology can be used. What I mean by that is we've built this into the platform. It's not a bolt-on. We've been, I think, very thoughtful and deliberate. If you want to ask how's iCIMS approaching this technology, is we're trying to be very thoughtful and deliberate, giving our customers the controls they need of how quickly they roll this technology out, and a couple of different themes as we start building out. These first couple of capabilities are on the theme of getting rid of undifferentiated work, making you more productive, eliminating chair swivels. The technology is wonderful for creating, generating content of many different kinds. And for some of our customers, creating job descriptions is a very high bar, depending on how big their company is and how often they do it. And giving you a much higher starting point by generating these things and letting you do changes on those job descriptions, making it very easy to do. Again, not rocket science. We're not trying to claim that, but this is stuff that we think just makes people's day go faster and gives them a better quality outcome. The second use case that we've implemented in Copilot so far is one I like. I'm a hiring manager, and it's not uncommon that one of my team comes up to me and says, "Hey, we have this person we'd love for you to interview. Do you have a few minutes?" I haven't probably prepared. So the ability to go in, look at the job, pick some choices about what I want to focus on, and have it generate interview questions and expected answers. And also, by the way, give me a little bit of the reason why this question is included. So a little bit of explainability, which by default, this technology is not great at. I think this is one of those ones where I can see in certain vertical industries being really useful on how, people do a more consistent job. And also, we're also always thinking about the long term. Maybe you're interviewing 10 candidates. You want to use the same questions, you can save them to a library. So you're not always generating from scratch and making sure you have some consistency. And again, focus on, making you more productive, eliminating the undifferentiated work so you can focus on the outcomes is how we're starting now.
Yeah. Yeah. Fixing the unprepared interviewer is a good use case there. Definitely. All right. Let's talk about my favorite kind of part of the release here, the iCIMS Supply Network,
Yeah.
where third-party job sites and additional ecosystem partners have joined forces with you guys to help standardize that application experience. TA teams can now create, manage, and distribute application questions to participating job sites without leaving the iCIMS ATS, which will result in more improved efficiency, more consistent recruiting data. You're going to be working with ZipRecruiter and JobCase right now, and later coming this year, Indeed, LinkedIn, Veritone Hire, and Dahlia. So that's a really great feature there. Talk about that for us.
Yeah. And since you were a former iCIMS user, you can appreciate, being somebody who's hiring people across different classes of jobs, complex hiring, simple hiring, and where do you find those candidates and how do you bring them into the recruiting process? Our customers are managing multiple, what I call front doors today. You might come in through a job board. You might come in through a direct career site. You might come in through an API exchange. There's a lot of ways people come in. But, the recruiters ultimately have the responsibility once people apply to make sure they have all the information they need, support in the US EEO reporting, completeness of the information. And depending on how people come into your system, it's a lot to manage. One of our goals in starting this program, together with the job board vendors and others who offer different kinds of apply experiences, is you want one single control point, one source of truth, and that's the ATS. And so the ability to set up the job, the questions that you want used with the job on how you qualify, disqualify, collect the information you need for making sure you're doing the kind of hiring and reporting that you need to do for compliance, making sure you set that all up once. And then with our partners through APIs, if they offer an apply experience, they implement all that data coming right from the ATS. So no matter which partner you're talking with, which front door, you're going to get the same set of information and screening for every candidate that comes into your system. What comes out of that, which is the other exciting thing, is a better candidate experience with less drop off. I mean, and again, I don't know if that was the last time you were a practitioner, but I am sure you're close to the idea that one of the big challenges is companies spend a lot of money advertising jobs, nurturing relationships, getting people up to the point of apply, and then have a big drop off in that experience because it was inconsistent, too complex, didn't give them what they needed
Yep.
to consider your company. Our goal is to try to give a consistent experience to that and working with these key partners who drive a lot of candidates to a job, making sure the experience is a much better experience and a consistent experience from the employer point of view of the hard job they have of making sure no matter how somebody got in, we have all the information we need to make a good decision and to be compliant.
Yeah, there's a lot of redirects out there from the job seeker perspective when they're on a job marketplace and they get to get shifted to an employer website and kind of almost start the process over again. It's part of why job hunting sucks today. So this makes it better, definitely. Al, what's your current conversion rate for applications and how will this improve that, do you think, from a percentage standpoint?
Yeah, and I'm going to have a kind of squishy answer to that because the conversion rates vary a lot. I'd
Yeah,
say
for each job,
on,
right? Yeah.
yeah, for class of hiring, simple hiring, high volume hiring is different than complex hiring. We are expecting and talking with our partners and our employers who are using this now. We have, a number of them implemented. We're expecting gains in improvement in lower candidate drop off anywhere from 20 to 40%, depending on where you're starting from. If you're in a class of hire where there's really high drop off, you hit the number one thing. I click a link and suddenly I have a whole new experience and it feels overwhelming to me and I'm starting from scratch. I don't have time for this. People drop off. Well, if you eliminate that, those are places we're going to see, we think, the biggest percentage gain of people following the process all the way through. In some of the cases where you're actually taking people through a workflow, maybe triggering background events or other things, checks and tests and things like that, we think giving a consistent experience to that means people don't drop off mid-process, not just at the application. So I would say that range is anywhere from a 20 to 40% improvement in candidate, completion.
Mhm.
That varies based on where it's starting from.
Yeah, very cool. I love to see you guys partner with some of the job board software vendors too out there, like around this. They power, hundreds, thousands of job boards as well. You could really improve that overall conversion rate there. All right. Other new capabilities here, you guys. Let's see here. Highlighting relevant jobs automatically to catch job seekers' attention and improve applicant conversion. What's that about?
Yeah, so a couple things that we've been working on a lot using our AI and the experiences. You go to look for a job and you may have in your mind what attracted you to a job, but there
Mhm.
might be five other jobs that are you're well qualified for that you're not aware of that they're open because you were following a narrow path to get to the one you're at. So we try to help with some of the experiences to suggest jobs that you might be qualified for or have interest in based on what we learn about you. And this is proving to be very helpful. I think that often when somebody goes to a job site or career site, and in our case is on our career site, you're looking for an opportunity at this company, maybe not always the specific job. And the better we can help you understand what's available, what you're a fit for, those are really helpful along the way there.
Very cool. Okay, what else is in the release? Something with the video studio?
Yeah, so we've added some things into this product. That was the product I was referring to when we were talking earlier about, your employees can do very simple videos of this is a day in the life of being this role. What we've built into Video Studio is maybe that's something that you want to have available on the career site. So when a candidate comes and looks at a specific job, our algorithms will find a video for that job and play it so that the person gets from the employee's point of view, what this experience is. We've built a number of things to make it easier for our employers to actually not only create and curate those videos by creating libraries of templates
Hmm.
along with the analytics as well as the key measure points, just trying to make that easier to use, as well as the ability to extend that technology in a variety of different places. Some of our very progressive employers use it when they send you a job offer. They may include a link with a video from your new hiring manager welcoming you to the company and, or from the team. So there's a lot of capabilities here that are just very much around connecting people to people. And video is a medium that's very different than text and trying to use it in the right ways.
Yeah. I was at a conference last week and I was talking to a recruiter from a big tech company out down in Austin. And she had her laptop next to me and she had a spreadsheet open. So I asked her about it. She goes, "Oh, those are my candidates I currently have offers to." And she was complaining about she was a Workday user, and she was complaining about how she had to basically export that data, put it into an Excel spreadsheet so she could kind of see an overarching view of all the offers she had going out. And I thought that was interesting. Just kind of uh, note about the hiring process and hiring software, that it can't fix everything. And I don't know what my question is here, but I'm just
I'll make a comment because there is something in the winter release that I think goes to eliminate what I'll call the chair swivel. I've got to do another step to another screen to try to get there. We've built the notion of a job dashboard. And so this is the job. You may have 10 different people that you're trying to bring in on this job in one place without dumping the spreadsheets or anything else. Who are the people in the pipeline on this job? Who are the people that you have offers out to? Who are the people who are in the middle of onboarding that you're off to? And being able to see all that in one place and be able to click into any of them to take action. Because you're also trying to do is, in her spreadsheet, she's trying to figure out, how do I stay on top of this and reach out
right.
to people at the right point. We're trying to make that the system helps you with little prompts and nudges and hints to not only help you, but make sure that you're connecting to those candidates at every stage that you want to touch them. So,
Yep, very cool. Well, every software is not perfect out there, and it's definitely one example there. But Al, appreciate your time today. I know you guys are going to be at Unleash in May, I think. Are you traveling there as well, or no?
to be determined, but we'll definitely have a team there. So if we are, Chris, I'd love to connect.
Definitely. All right. Well, appreciate your time today, Al. That will do for this episode of the RecTech podcast. Check out ICIMS.com as well and hrtechfeed.com to see the release information. Be sure to follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, via the @RecTech Media handle. See every podcast, video, and blog we publish. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Remember, always be recruiting.
Looking for your next HR technology role? Go to your browser, type in hrtechjob.com, and browse hundreds of jobs with the best HR technology vendors. HR tech professionals finally have a dedicated job marketplace to find work or be found. Sign up for job alerts or post a resume. Discover jobs with companies like Workday, Phenom, HiBob, Deal, and more. You'll even find HR tech roles with employers in case you want to work with managing HCM or HRIS platforms. HR Tech Job, the only job market for HR technology careers. Join us at hrtechjob.com.